What's going on, YouTube? Back at you with another one. We got podcast number 7 or 8. I don't know. I think it's podcast number 7. I got some very special guests here today. These are guys that I really look up to. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
From the oldest to the youngest.
Well, you got to bring that up. There we go. See, yeah, I'm Keith Bullock. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Keith.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Keith Bullock, money earning Mount Vernon. Yeah.
Okay. That's it?
Steve.
That's it.
Oh, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay, I'm Kevin Barksdale, from Brooklyn, but living in Teaneck. I'm an actor.
Brooklyn.
And, I'm here. I'm happy to be on this podcast. What's the name of the podcast, Dimitri?
This is called the MDJ podcast.
The
MDJ podcast.
MDJ podcast. And what does that stand for?
Mr. DJ podcast. So
I'm happy to be on the Mr. DJ podcast.
Yeah.
Steve Allen, originally from Yonkers, residing in Rockland. Represent my boy D here for Mr. DJ. And my gentleman over here, Kevin Keith. And so without a lot further ado, let's get it on.
Yeah, so honestly, just before we talk about, the state of the country and everything, we're all actors in here, and I feel like it'd be, a little off for me to kind of start to get into the topics without talking about Chadwick Boseman, briefly. And I say for me, I almost didn't want to do the podcast today because that hit me pretty hard. I mean, the man was 43 years old, and he was one of those actors, one of the few actors that I do look up to, especially, the contemporary ones. And I was looking forward to seeing, the rest of his career and how it was going to pan out. And then, we'll never get to see that because, he passed away of, colon cancer, which no one knew.
Yeah. He was just a baby, man. I mean, and his career was very short as far as I'm concerned, but what an impact he had. What an impact.
Yeah, shocking. Shocking.
The thing that really hit me with the news of his death, my son told me it, and it's like I didn't want to believe it. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that there's some actors who are always positive in their roles, that they have roles that lift you up.
Right.
And for a young actor, that was his perceived destiny. That's where I saw him as far as going, in that type of legacy. And it's extremely sad. This is just such a screwed up year.
Yeah, I thought of you, D, because I was like, damn, he does. You look like him too, and no joke.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. I was fucked up because when my kids told me last night, and when they tell me, I know it's real because they know, and they said it's on TV too, Dad. So it's really happened. And I remember when this cat came out, and when he did James Brown, I was done. I was like, yo, this boy, it ain't nothing but the truth.
Yeah. And
to get all of these things happening in your life, and you just starting to enjoy to reap the benefits of all of it. But cancer is not a joke, and I beat it once myself. Because I tell people you got hemorrhoids with things like that. Take it seriously and get treated quickly before it becomes cancerous. Mm-hmm. So I beat that part of the hump. So much respect to that young brother and his family. Much love.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. It wasn't anybody's business, but part of me just feels like I wish he would have, came out and said, look, this is what I'm going through. So, if anything happens to me, at least you know why, versus it kind of just blindsided. Because I'm like, last night I'm streaming, I'm playing video games, and then I look at my Instagram, then, with immeasurable grief, we're sad to announce that Chadwick Boseman passed away. And I'm like, what? Mind you, this guy's a vegetarian. He exercises. He's in shape. Like, where does that even come from? And he's 43. Like, where, you know what I mean? Like, did that run in his family? I don't know. But that to me, it's a bad beat, man. I don't know. And today's Michael Jackson's birthday, so I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all know me.
No, you feeling it? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm already like feeling like crap. So I'm gonna get out of bed.
Well, hopefully we can raise each other's spirits today, because it's definitely needed.
But if I can say, man, it boils down to when you get that call, you get that call.
Oh, right.
We don't have no choice in that matter.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know, but thank God that he left a legacy.
Nice.
You know, and he did it in such a confined amount of space
Yes.
and time. He hit home runs after home runs.
Right
You
on.
know,
Yeah.
so I'd never seen the cat off. I don't know if he had an off mode, but he was always on in everything
Yeah.
I've seen him in.
Yeah.
So you know, that's the wonderful part of life,
Yeah.
to know that you're being held in high esteem by the legacy that you left.
Yeah. As if Kobe Bryant wasn't enough this year. I think I was fine at Kobe. You know what I'm saying? I thought we were just, you know, that would have been it.
No, it's not.
But so basically, with that said, it's been a crazy year. You know, politically, I think, you know, racial tensions have been, you know, high as they've ever been, you know, in recent years. You know, from, you know, my take on that. And I'll start by getting, you know, your thoughts on, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement. I've talked about this in a couple of my other podcasts before, and I say that I have, you know, a bit of like an alternative perspective when it comes to, you know, that particular movement. I mean, obviously, that's like the face of the opposition in terms of like racist people. So you have like those kinds of people, and then you have people that are, you know, Black Lives Matter, so to speak. So, you know, in any order you guys want to respond to that, I just want your thoughts before I kind of like give you my rebuttal to that.
Who's up?
Yeah, you talking? Go ahead. Do your thing.
Well, first of all, people want to control everything. People want to, if you're protesting, obviously you have something to protest about, but they want to be able to tell you how, where, and when you can protest. But what is the point of a protest? See, they use every excuse to discount our uprising, our coming together. It's very important to control all of that because they know of the powers that be. It's just that I feel personally that our people have to come together and recognize the powers that we have to get things done together. And Black Lives Matter is just one of the channels that we're using to do that, to get people together, to understand, to listen. You know, people are mad because they thought they were beating a dead horse, but we didn't die. That's why they're mad. We're still here, enduring even more abuse, but we're still here. See, they can't get rid of us because of the powers that we possess in God.
With anything, for every negative, you need a positive. And that's just exactly what I've been looking at even throughout my life. Black Lives Matter, the Black Panthers counteract the KKK, you know, these white nationalists and everything else. We have to have something always positive. And in our neighborhoods, you know, just speaking for myself, I've seen enough to last me a lifetime to say, listen, I fight the power every day. But, you know, to be out there protesting is a beautiful thing. I was telling this one cat, he says, man, you know, we all need to be out there protesting. I said, but we all fight it in different levels. Some of us fight it in politics. Some of us fight it at work. Some of us have to fight the administration. And this movement is not just, you know, the Black Lives Movement. Okay, there it is. Well, I'm Black. You ain't got to tell me. I've been doing this shit for, I can curse on your podcast.
Yeah. You're fine.
Hope so, yeah.
You're fine.
There's a 5 seconds delay.
Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying is that, you know, more power to it. Whatever we can do to galvanize, get it together with each other. Because some people just are, you know, we have to have some type of organization to say, listen, if we do this together, we cannot fall. And that's always been the plan with things that's happening nowadays, divide and conquer. You know, people get a little job, you get a little money, you get separated from maybe your neighborhood. Okay, cool. But still, fight the power. Everything you got. You know, I got a lot in me. I'm not gonna give you too much, but
Yeah.
it's like I'm really pissed about all this shit that's happening.
Right.
And they talk about radical. Man, please, we're not radical. We're all radical.
I'm right there with you when it comes to radical. But Kev, you
Okay. Well, you know what? Like everything starts from the youth. Like when the civil rights movement started, it was 19, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and the parents being conservative as once you get older, you're just saying, don't stir the boat. Like the Black Life Movement, I'm happy. I'm glad. That the thing that that is amazing about it is that I see a lot of white kids, like in a lot of towns that you have a small minority of blacks, like Portland or Seattle. That's those are not the Cleveland, the Baltimore, the New York City, and everything else. And that's a great thing. The fact that it's a national movement. Now I just hope that it's more than just a celebratory type of march thing that we march, because it has to be action. And like what one thing Steve said is that there's different ways of action, but it has to encompass political action. Like the number one political thing that we need right now is to get rid of that orange motherfucker that's sitting, that clown that's on 1600 that live in that 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Right.
That's my main focus. And like we have so many people are dying and getting killed by the police. Brother gets shot 7 times in the back while the cop grabbed his shirt, and all of it is the fact that this is things that have been happening for us for the last 400 years.
Yeah.
But now we have this. Everyone has this.
Yeah.
And the brutality is like dead in your face. Like the civil rights movement didn't really pick up until Selma, because Selma was the time that the brutality was caught by the network television. They have to give their bodies and their lives just so that the world could see, the whole world is watching, was a phrase that was used during the 60s. And now the whole world is watching, and everyone is a network now, because now it's shown.
Well,
these are good, but sometimes people stand there watching and ain't helping.
Yeah, see, me and Steve, we had a conversation about that. Before we're actually on the phone for like a couple hours, literally just talking about that. But
it's crazy.
I like what you said, Kev, where you said that you hope it's not just a celebratory thing, and that it's something that will actually lead to action. Now, I'm kind of critical about Black Lives Matter because of that, because I'm like, is it just awareness? I mean, how much awareness do you need? Now we're already aware of the problem. Now, what are some things that we can do to actually, where are the solutions now? Where's the action towards
exactly
the end goal? Because my problem with Black Lives Matter is that who's the face of Black Lives Matter? Where's the organization to Black Lives Matter? Who's in charge? Who, you know what I'm saying? Like, because back in the day, when you had the civil rights movement, you had community leaders. You had faces where the people can turn to. So you may have that one person that's in contact with the mayor. You might have somebody that's in contact with, the legislation, the governor, different things like that. Who's doing what? This has really been going on, like you said, for 400 years. Now we're talking about this day and age. This has been going on for years and years now. Now, 2020 in particular, it's gotten the worst that it's been in March and April was when a lot of the protests and the riots were going on. We're in August now. What's happened since then? We're in the same situation. Guy got shot 7 times in the back. George Floyd happened months ago. Nothing happened. So what is the And it's not to say that there's not, aspects to, Black Lives Matter that's not genuine or sincere, but where are we going? I feel like the biggest problem with Black Lives Matter today is the fact that there's no face to Black Lives Matter. There's no faces to Black Lives Matter. There's no Black Lives Matter East. There's no Black Lives. There's nothing.
Yeah, look in the mirror now.
Nothing.
Look in the mirror now. Sometimes we got to come to our own rescue, man. Because I stopped looking for leaders. Because when you're dependent on that next man sometimes going to let you down. So who can I trust? Me. Understand what I'm saying? So when we get down to the rare essence of it, I'm just saying, as a Black man, who I got to take care of my family? Me. I can't look to Obama to take care of him. I just look at him as a figurehead that was there. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to be responsible for me. Wherever I go, my actions I do, I have to be responsible.
Right.
I dig where you're coming from.
Yeah,
But nowadays, I stopped looking for that leader. My mother was my leader.
But my thing is, in this day and age, you need numbers we're all in charge. We're all in charge of our own worlds and our own, individual lives, and then the people closest to us. But I'm talking about Black people in macrocosm. I'm talking about everybody, because you need numbers, you need the influence, you need the resources. That's the problem with Black Lives Matter. We don't have anything. That's why things have stayed the way that they are. We're not in conversation with lobbyists. We're not in conversation with that are in those boardrooms.
Ain't nothing going to change till the laws change.
Yeah, we don't have that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
call from SoundCloud.
What the hell, man?
I edit this, so I make cuts. So
okay.
Sorry about that, man.
But Steve, you feel me? You feel me though? It's like even I was probably gonna talk about it later, but even like the NBA, boycott, they're all wearing Black Lives Matter jerseys. But what did that amount to? The NBA boycott lasted. That was in response to the recent shootings in Kenosha. That was in response to Jacob Blake, etc. What?
But a lot of the things we don't see. See, that's the thing. A lot of things that happen in the background, and people ain't looking for that publicity. And that's all I'm saying, because I myself know brothers who do certain things, but ain't looking for a pat on the back. So that's all I'm saying. Is there are a lot of things that do happen, but because we don't see it online and in TV, don't mean it ain't happening. The fight is. Yeah, go ahead, Apple.
Listen, first of all, you have to understand, this has been going on for X amount of years. We have to have patience. You're not going to get a change in a few months. Mm-hmm. But what we have to do, which we have failed to do, is to come up with a plan, a universal plan for our people. Right. And it's all about, at the end of the day, it's not even about color or any of that. It's about money. Right. This is the only tool that we have to deal with the situation at hand, because those people, that's all they care about. They will turn on their cells for $1. And that's where we have to stop spending money. We have to stop neglecting Black businesses and get together and come up with a plan of unity.
Right. But
we came to a point that we didn't have any leaders that were willing to die. Right. See, once the so-called leaders that we had got killed, yes. Nobody else was rushing to the front of the line.
Right. Scared you.
Right.
See, that's what happened. So our next move is to come up with a plan, and because putting a face to Black Lives Matter, that's not important.
To me, I think it's also having organization and having like a board of people, like in different, every state, everywhere. Right. So it's not so it amounts to more than just social media, because for the most part, aside from people actually going out there and protesting, it's a hashtag. It's a social media thing. It's an awareness thing. It's a media thing, and it's not an actual out there in real life thing. Aside from protesting, which we saw what happened to people who protest.
Well, like Kevin was saying, you have some white people out there involved in the movement also, but you're not old enough to remember back in the day when the civil rights protesting was going on. there was young cats called hippies. That was a big part of that. There was a lot of white people that came up in the ranks with us for that also.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, they abandoned us. They got older and they abandoned us. So
and everyone when you get older, everyone you have other things. You got your family, you got your life that you have to focus on.
Right.
And the macro picture disappears. You just thinking about your own picture.
Your own life, yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yo, Kev was one of them hippies.
Tune in, turn on.
But I think until all black people, until it becomes in style where we have that black pride, we have that unity, it's not gonna get anywhere. Because you guys would agree that we're pretty much the most like divided ethnicity. Period. We are. We don't really come together like that.
But his deal, and it goes back to what Kev said. It does start at home. It starts with family. It starts with as a youth, because see, when people talk about, you ever notice you get in these circles and we go, we need solutions. Let me tell you something. I was part of the solution. Part of the solution was we were building recreational centers for these kids in the city. In Yonkers, where I'm from, we said we were looking for one big recreational facility that had a track, a pool, a library, a place where you can work out, and a place where you can do your studies. Now, when you go down Maryland, Virginia, certain places, every county has a recreational center where these kids can go.
Right.
They removed our kids. They removed group homes from up here in Rockland County. They removed our kids, put them back in the city. Thank God, the young men that I worked with, some of them are chefs now, truck drivers, good dads, whatever. Some of them are dead. That's a reality. You ain't going to have 100% of anything. But all I'm saying is, when people talk about what we're going to do, I'm talking about what is being done and what still can be done. Because that's why I'm still in the mix with that. Help these young people to see a better future, and it will work, but I don't want to go on a tirade because I just get so
You're good, brother.
But Facebook, okay, we post, we all do. It's all right. I ain't got nothing against that. But the bottom line to me, all the brothers that I see out there, I'm going back to working with the youth, because this is where it has to, that's one part of it. There's many different parts. But when you say we ain't together, 51 years of the Toon family reunion, there is a family structure. It does exist, just because we don't see it. So all these NBA players, football players, put your money into resources, build a huge recreational center. I swear to God, it'll work. For every community, that's what you need to get these kids off the street. Because you go down to Getty Square in Yonkers, after school, everybody's hanging out.
Yeah.
But
so I just think
turn the other one.
We're in a situation now where I would just like to see, like Kevin was saying, Steve was saying, where it just progresses from, social awareness to now political action and different things that we could do. I just think that we need the organization, we need infrastructure. That's what we need, because if we don't have that, then it's really just it's always going to be what it's been. And the people who make the laws and can influence change, they do not care about Black Lives Matter right now. Because if they did, then the protests, the killings, and the riots and the looting would have affected them. It doesn't affect them. We're talking about people who got a lot of money and, don't look like us. Those are the people that are in those rooms, Congress meetings, boardrooms, wherever, making those decisions. Until we affect them in some kind of way, things are going to be the way that they've always been. And that's
you know what? I mean, honestly, like right now, I think the main thing, and like I always harp on it, the main thing is the next 70 days to get rid of this dude. Yeah. After that, I think then things can start opening up, because the problem we have is with the police. Now, the one thing I think, and I don't know who coined this name, is the fact that sometimes you wonder who coined is the name of defunding the police. I think is a horrible name, because what it should have been was reorganize the
Right.
police
Right.
because people know about reorganization.
Reorganization.
When you say defunding it, then that gives them an opening to say, oh, you want to take away all the money from the cops. No, we don't. But we do want to take away some of the money from the cops so that when situations come in, then you could have other people that can handle crisis. Okay, because the cops come in, the first thing they want to do is be up on the black person.
Right.
And then some situation might come in that you need to have people that know how to de-escalate situation. So you need a professional. You need a Steve to come in, to come in and say, look, you know what, calm situation down instead of having Joe Bobby Boogaloo, come in and say, this is my chance to cap a Negro, or if he says something bad to me, I'm going to shoot him because I'm being disrespected. But then when the situation is that you get a white person who do a lot of stuff, like in Michigan, when you have those white people with their guns and they screaming and spitting right in front of the state trooper face, they suddenly is, I'll do these protect and serve. They can stand there. But then the black person just say something, boom, I'm going to shoot you. White kid, 17 years old, come by with AR-15, in the middle of a situation, a crisis situation. Right. Cops saying, thank you for helping me. Do you want some water? Who the freak is this kid that's walking around with AR-15 and you're not going to tell him, get the hell out of here, and why are you with that gun?
Well, it's funny that you say that, and I guess we'll probably just get into this. So
I'm sorry if I'm taking this another.
Oh, no,
man. Get it out.
So I've seen a conflict of, I would say conflict of interest, but just differing opinions amongst black people when it comes to when a black person gets into a situation with police. It seems like on one end you have people who are saying that even though Jacob Blake wasn't wrong about walking away from a police officer who had a gun on him,
he wasn't,
because police shouldn't be killing him. Then you have other black people who are saying, do what you can do to survive when you're in police custody. Because technically, for black people, when you get pulled over by a police officer, you're in police custody. Regardless of the situation, whether it's for a speeding ticket or whatever. So then you have these two polar opposites where people are basically saying, because police shouldn't be allowed to, which really they're legally allowed to kill, black people, because obviously there's no legal consequences or ramifications for that. My mindset is pretty much like, hey, do what you can do to survive and get home at the end of the day.
Well, that's true.
And it shouldn't have to be that way.
That's true. Yeah. You go ahead. You tell me.
It's truly a conditioning through time where that's the fear that they want. They want us to behave in a certain way. Because if you hear it, and just through my mind, I heard the brother out in D.C. said when he gets in his car, you got to make sure his wallet's right here, his insurance, everything is ready.
Not too far away.
A good friend of ours, Leslie, I remember she said this. She said, you're black when anytime before you travel somewhere, you got to make sure where you go that it's not a racist town. You have to do your research to make sure you got to know where you got to go.
And that's a limitation on your freedom and the freedom that we have as black people. The way that our minds have been conditioned. Yeah. I am 64 years old, and you know what? Still, I get in the situation that you go in the store and you think, hey, somebody think I'm going to steal something. Right. White people don't think that. They can steal the whole fucking store, put shit in. They don't think that automatically someone's going to be looking at them thinking that they're going to steal it, because they don't have that they have freedom that we don't have.
Our way of life is different. Our way of life is different. Steve, when we were on the phone before, I told you, I'm like, when I'm driving, I never feel comfortable when I see a cop car.
Right.
Never feel comfortable. In fact, I get anxiety when I see a cop car. I get anxiety when I see one. Because I'm like, all right, am I going to get pulled over? I don't care if I have to go that way. If I see the cop making a right, I'm going left. I go around. I take the detour.
But the thing is, the message we need to put out to even, white, black, whomever, police, is that the things that happen, especially with that last kid, is conditioned, how he was raised, right? And they always talk about it starts at home, and I'm always going back to that. Because if you go out to Midwest, because I don't know what it's like to maybe live out in the Midwest. They don't know what it's like to live in the city, inner city, whatever. Oh, yeah. Okay, but at least I've been out there. I talked to people. He said, when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I have friends of all nationalities." Yeah, me too. I got friends all around the freaking world, especially from the Xbox, whatever.
Right.
But when you have young men who are conditioned to be a cop, this is what you want to do. He's watching cops. He plays Call of Duty. It's all transfixed in his head, and that's all he knows. He's never been around other people to socialize, to communicate, to talk to. There's nothing else. New York has a plethora of everything, thank God. So I feel blessed about that part. But I do believe there's a part where there's kids that grow up in the suburbs, and there's kids that grow up in the city. Kids in the suburbs, they're taught this is the way things are supposed to be. This is how life is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Keep it that way. And it's sad because there's that conditioning is the result of this boy walking on the street saying, I got to defend my community at the age of 17 years old. What else does he know? What else does he know? I guarantee you, I have black friends. So what? That's not what it's about. There's more to this whole thing. And like I said, I talk about what people are doing. When you talk about black organizations, there's KSI, there's your black fraternities, there's the Masons. There's all types of things out here that are doing the work. It just ain't publicized like that.
Or few and far between.
Yeah, far and few between.
Few and far between. But so what's the general consensus between the two of y'all? So let's say, because you guys are, OGs, you know what I'm saying? The both of you have sons. So what are the conversations that you are having with your sons as far as what's going on? Because I know you had to have these conversations probably multiple times, because you're not around them 24/7.
Don't you, Grandpa?
The pigs, man. Kill the pigs.
No, that's part of it. Joy, happiness.
I was just joking, man.
No, I know what you're saying. No, we got talking about that part. I'm just saying, the laughter.
No. My son, I'm blessed. Knock on wood. Mm-hmm. He has a good mindset. As far as dealing with cops, my wife's father was a police officer, and he always talked about, and he was the one that in Hartford, Connecticut, and he was one that was very proactive in his church and the community, and he was like the godfather of the neighborhood, And he said the main thing is don't get into the system, which means don't get that first arrest. But once you get that first arrest, you're in the system, and you might be in the system for years and stuff like that. And then you always, shoveling extra dirt just to get to middle land, just to get down. But the thing I always talk to my son, because he's driving now. He's 19, and he was driving to Amazon for his job. It's like, hey, you get pulled over by the cops, put your hands on the steering wheel. And say, what can I do for you, officer, and everything else, and the officer wants you. I haven't gotten to things like, okay, he has his registration, everything else in the glove compartment, but put your hands in the steering wheel, and and just do what we was told to do. Give the cop everything else, and then you gotta hope and pray that cop don't shoot you.
Right.
Just like us, we gotta hope and pray that you don't get a trigger finger,
trigger happy.
Pop that gun. Oh, you move, nigga, bam, and shoot
nigga boy.
He's afraid.
It's crazy. Steve?
Officer, overseer, officer. Yeah, man. Shit. Try to just do so many different things with my boys, and I tell them the stories of where I'm from, where I grew up. And that they don't have to, I guess, come up the same way I did, but it's good to be aware of your surroundings.
Right.
Don't be fooled by Green Acres, that because we live in a nice area, that's because I earned this shit. Put in some damn hard work to get here. But the other part is that I introduce them to different things, art, what I do in theater, but I let them make a choice. You know, just because if I was a lawyer don't mean you gotta be a lawyer. If I'm an actor don't mean you gotta be an actor. I let them find their way, but I got your back. I got your back. But because you're gonna bump your head, you're gonna make mistakes. It's not a perfect world. But like you said, yeah, don't get arrested. Don't call me because you're gonna hear some shit from me.
Yeah, they sound like my mom. My mom's. I'm in that situation. My mom's the last person I'm calling. Believe that.
Yeah.
Who's the first person you're calling?
Huh?
Who's the first person you're calling?
It ain't my mom. I don't know. Maybe my uncle or something. I'd be like, "Hey, Steve."
Yeah. What you done did?
What I'm saying?
It's
why wouldn't it be your mom's? Man?
Because she just automatically assumed, and I hope my mom sees it. She'd automatically assume that like it was something that I did.
0 to 100.
And then on top of that, see, my mom's the type of person where something is going on, she's gonna act like what? I'm like, Mom, I'm in the police station. You know, can you come get me? What? She's gonna say what like 15 times before she actually hears what I'm saying. So.
Well, that's you know, we talk about Chadwick Boseman and that's I mean people have to process. I had to process my son telling me that he died because you know sometimes you hear stuff that you just don't want to believe, but inevitably you have to believe. So you know it's just.
Well, long story short, I ain't calling her. if I'm in that situation, but so you touched on another you touched on Trump and Biden a little bit. God. Now before I let y'all talk, I'll kind of give you my mindset on just the Trump and Biden, right? And I'll kind of tie in Obama into this. So in my opinion, back when Obama was president, he signed off on an act, which is the National Blue Alert Act, which I think, you know, Steve, we talked about that before, where
the
National Blue Alert. And what it is, it speeds and expedites the process and the apprehension of people who, you know, injure, attack, you know, or kill a police officer. So basically the rate through which the information is exchanged between, you know, law enforcement is a lot faster because of that. So because what you said is that when Trump is no longer in office, things will probably be better, which who am I? I don't know the future. However, I feel like if things were going to happen for our benefit, it would have happened when a black man was in office. Why don't we have a National Black Alert, which is basically a parallel to the National Blue Alert that will speed up the apprehension and charges brought against police officers that kill black people? Why do we not have that yet? If there are going to be executive orders being signed, why wouldn't that be signed? Instead, we got a president, you know, signing executive orders to ban TikTok because they're talking trash about him. That's social media. That's not important. Why don't we have that yet? To me, if Obama had 2 terms in office, if we didn't get that in 8 years with him, what makes me so sure that we're going to get that with a Joe Biden in office, to be honest with you?
Well, you know what?
Who's to say that he cares any more than Trump does, than Obama does?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
You're looking at one thing, and it's like, why isn't this one thing done? Otherwise, everything else doesn't matter. You know, there's so freaking much to do. And okay, Trump is a dictator. First thing, if you really want to know, sometimes I say, if you want to know about Trump, look at the movie The Godfather. Look at Godfather 1. Look at and it's right there, okay? And Godfather 2, when the senator from Nevada said, I ain't giving you shit, guy said, you're gonna give it to me and I'm not gonna pay you a dime. And then the senator was in a brothel with a dead hooker. You know what? I always said that's the same shit that Trump is doing. I'm saying he probably had Lindsey Graham, who had talk all this trash about Trump, probably got caught in a brothel with a dead Russian male hooker. And then after that, it's like, I'll do whatever you want. All these senators, all these people are freaks. You see Jerry Falwell Jr., he's watching his wife have sex. You don't think that people don't have that shit taped on them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think the Russians, you know, and maybe I'm paranoid, but maybe I'm not. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Russian KGB has all these information and it's telling these people what to do because they're all freaky and crazy and stuff like that. So that's all reason why. That's the reason why the Russians are telling Trump what to do. The PP tape.
It's like there's something that you don't understand. He was something that the first black man to get in there, and they didn't know what was going. Oh, he's just going to help the black community, and then black people said, "But he ain't helping me." Listen, he's a black president. He did it. That was a figurehead for me. That was just something that says, you know what? If he could do it, I think all things are possible. That's what Bob. This era we living in now, you can't tell me we ain't living in some biblical shit right now. This is some real biblical shit. But the con game has always been there. But it's just people that don't do the research on Mr. Orange Brigade is that, you know, he didn't come out of nowhere. They knew who he was. Everyone knew who he was, except the people in maybe the Midwest, down south, because he was that snake oil salesman back in the old West. They came and sold you that elixir. Oh, that's that boy from the big city. I used to get that back in '84 when I went to West Virginia. The boy from the big city, New York. Steve, I've never been to New York. What's it like? You got to go and experience it for yourself. So I'm just saying, from my gut feeling, the con game is over. Some people get it, and I love it. All people, white, black, Chinese, Spanish, everybody. But to me, it's the stuff that people still buy into. Remember the pet rock? People bought that shit.
The what?
The pet rock.
What's that?
You remember that back in the 80s? Yeah, motherfucker. Let me try that shit. But anyway.
Oh, my father used to have one of those.
Yeah, don't even try. You know what I'm talking about. But the pet rock, people bought it. The guy made millions of dollars off of painting a rock. The flim flam game is you present it, you get it, and you get out. Donald Trump stayed too long, and he got discovered, and Putin's using his ass because Putin know he ain't got the educational level. But Donald Trump did something that a lot of people haven't done. Most people say, I'm going for president. And they said, okay, because he got money. He's rich. But he don't care about no poor people. He don't give a shit about none of y'all. He don't give a shit about nobody but himself. Yeah. And Chappelle said it best. He said, he cares about me because I'm rich.
Yeah.
Right.
What's his name? I mean, Howard Stern said that. Howard Stern said the thing about him is if you go to Mar-a-Lago, you're not going to see any poor white people over there.
No.
But is that the point that you were talking about?
It's the con game. I knew he's been a con man since I was young. And a racist con man.
The con game works with them because what Trump does is Trump say, nigga. Yeah. It's not me, it's the nigga. And they all like, whoa, yeah, it's the nigga. Fuck that, take all the money.
Keep repeating the same shit.
Well, pretty much what I was really getting at was that I think people just need to just verify like the implications behind voting for who and what. And really I'm just not 100%.
Are you voting in this election?
What'd you say?
Are you voting in this election?
See, that's a whole nother point that I'm going to get to. But basically,
I
just want to make sure that the implications and the intentions behind Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are actually going to be any better than a Trump or an Obama, because we're specifically
can't get no worse, bro. You can't get no worse. Because the thing is, you can't get no worse than this.
Because the thing is, we're specifically talking about, like the plight of black people right now.
Yo.
And just the fact that, it's just like, because to me, it's just like, what's the guarantee that things are going to be better when Trump's not here?
Hold on, Kev.
Is Joe Biden really going to get behind black people and get something that black people are actually protected on a legal level? That there are consequences for a police officer shooting a black person. There's no consequences to that. There's no consequences. That's why it's still happening right now. They're legally allowed to do that. So when is the contrary gonna happen?
I know where you're going.
When is there going to be restitution? So what's stopping a police officer from pulling you over right now, getting mad at you and shooting you? Nothing, because there's no restitution, there's no consequences other than paid administrative leave. So is Joe Biden going to change something? Is Kamala Harris going to change something? We know Trump didn't do it, so are they just going to come in office and then ignore the problems too?
Okay, but I mean, okay, Kamala Harris is going to do something about it, because number one, she's a prosecutor. The main thing with the cops right now is the fact that they have this immunity. Okay, once they get rid of this immunity that you can shoot somebody and you can't get charged, then that's going to happen. That's the whole purpose about the defunding the police, is to get them out of situations that they can't get into and let the whole racism come in. Also, too, is the fact that some police organization need to be decommissioned, like what happened in Camden, New Jersey.
It just seems like black people have never been a priority, in my opinion.
Of course not. That's why there's a Black Lives Matter movement. But
which again seems like a social media thing.
Are you voting? Are you voting?
But that's a separate topic that I wanted.
That
a whole isolated topic to talk about.
To me, right now, the only thing in the world that matters is, are you voting?
Okay.
So anything talking about Black Lives Matter, talking about this and that, all that shit doesn't matter to me right
now. I'll say this. And me and Steve have had many talks. And, one thing I think we talked about before, or things that I've just said in general, is that you cannot complain about the way that things are if you choose to exclude yourself from the political process, which is voting.
Okay.
And that's been my opinion for years. I've had friends where I've had to convince them to vote.
That's one
because
part.
You guys aren't going to always be here to clean up our mess. That's exactly why I wanted you guys on here, because you guys represent, a generation that sits and watches the news, that prioritizes, government and things that are going on in your communities, the state, federal level, all of that stuff.
Voting is one part of it.
Right.
And just when people say defunding the police, that's still a small part of it. They need to be vetted a little better. All I'm saying is part of it's in training. There are some people who get the job of a police officer that just say, well, it's got a good, you should work here. My dad was a cop. His dad was a cop. That's one. Fringe benefits. You get a good retirement plan, but are they capable of carrying a gun and dealing with the public? Communication skills. Okay. You got to have these things. You just can't go out in the public and be like, that's why they're first to pull their gun, because they're scared. 21 weeks of training. And then you're getting a gun badge, go out there and serve the community.
Right.
I think you need to have a college degree to be a cop.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's not defunding, it's just reform.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The institution of law enforcement.
Reorganizing.
Reorganize, defund, but you got people that shouldn't be carrying no gun and no badge.
They say reorganize. We're going to reorganize the department. And that's it. Reorganize it, then you can move the money around, and then you can hire professionals who know how to deal with people. Like you hire Steve in situations. We have a domestic abuse situation. You send a cop, you send someone else to go right over there and say that's in charge. They say, look, okay, what's going on? Talk to the person, calm it down. If they can't do it, then the situation get ahead. But the cops should not be the person come in and say, move out here, get out the way. That's it. But I'm glad to hear with you, Demetrius. I'm sorry if I got a little bit agitated about it, but I'm glad to hear the fact that you said you got to be part of the solution.
You have to. Yeah. But at the same time, I would consider myself a critical thinker in that I ask questions. And for me, I don't think we live in a democracy. To me, this isn't really a democracy.
Of course not.
Well, I'm glad you agree with me, because to me, it's like the reason why it's like that is because the people, in my opinion, we don't have any power. Because why is it that, and this is just my opinion, you guys can feel free to chime in on that, but why is it that we are electing officials and then it's just one person who decides you know, what's best for everybody else.
Yeah,
when let's say a Cuomo, you know, who's a governor, has these meetings, he's doing all the talking. It's not in the hands of the people. In my opinion, the president really should be an entity. So the president should be like multiple people. And then the decisions are in the hands of the people. So when there are meetings, you have people that have access to where these decisions are.
Actually, decisions are in our hands. It's just they just refuse to listen. That's why he's been using executive orders.
To me, because this is the thing when it comes to voting. The popular vote, if it was in the hands of people, then whoever wins the popular vote wins the election. But unfortunately, it's not like that.
They created the electoral.
The popular vote gets then presented to the electoral college,
right?
Because we're just telling them who we think we should vote for, and then they make the decision.
Well,
so
okay.
So you see what I'm saying? So to me, in a way, it's like we're involved, but at the same time, we're just under the impression of being involved because they're just getting our opinion. They're not getting our vote. They're getting our opinion. Electoral college is making that decision. Because otherwise, I voted for Hillary Clinton. She didn't win, and she won the popular vote, right? I remember watching it on my computer. Am I right? Hillary Clinton won the popular vote back in 2016.
I mean, you know how the electoral college is a remnant of slavery.
That wouldn't surprise me. I didn't know that specifically. But right. But back in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, though, right? Like Steve, she won the popular vote.
Yeah, she did big time too.
She did.
And that should have been the results right there.
Now, obviously, you have conspiracy about Russia and everything like that. But if it was up to the people, she would have been the president right now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's simple.
Okay. The electoral college is a remnant of slavery as far as the fact that it needs to be revisited and changed. But the fact is that what it was the fact that they wanted the small southern states to have just enough power as far as the big northern states. So that's the reason why they established the Electoral College. Now with the Electoral College, right now there was a Supreme Court decision this year, I think it was based in Oregon, because somebody who was supposed to vote for Hillary, wanted to move around the thing. Every state you vote for the people that's supposed to represent, that's supposed to vote for whoever you're at. When you vote you vote for Joe Blow, who say, okay, I'm Joe Blow in the Electoral College, and I'm going to vote for Trump, or you could vote for Harry Green, and Harry Green said, I'm going to vote for Biden. Okay, and then the person who wins that election in the state is supposed to vote for whoever they said that they want to vote. They didn't really have to. They could change it. But the Supreme Court decision right now said that they have to vote for who they said that they're going to vote. But each state, though, the election is important because the fact that each state, you vote for the people, and the people that win in that state, they vote for the people that goes into the Electoral College.
Isn't that crazy?
So it's a population thing within the state.
And yet, how does a man? I remember I posted that why does every evil villain tell you they lay out the details of their plan? And and when a man tells you that the Postal Service is a fraud, then you mean I guess it been coming around time when I guess say it right. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? How do people fall into that? Because people still believe what this man says. He says it, and you'll be right, Cap. He repeats it. And people say, he might be right. And I look at them and I go, are you fucking kidding me? Come on.
It's propaganda, man.
Yeah, but people there are some people that can be led that easily. And that's what I said. I don't look for a leader. I look in the mirror, I listen to you, and I interpret what the fuck you saying. But if you're coming out your head with some bullshit, come on, man.
There's a lot of
stupid. Born at night, not last night.
There's a lot of stupid people.
Yeah, but thank you. And he appeals to racist, rich, and stupid.
Well, I just think that things in this country, for decades, really. I mean, if you ask people, they've been less than pleasant or like positive. Depending on the life that you live and your area in life, who you are, etc. But I think we have no power. and things really are going to continue on a grand scale. Things are going to continue to be the way that they are because
power is ownership. That's the only way
exactly. And until you have the resources to do something, right. Whether it's you have influence, you have a platform, you have money, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's hard to facilitate change because I can think however I want and have these thoughts and opinions, but what do they mean if I don't have anything, if I don't have the means? And really in this day and age, it's really if you have money, you don't.
Well, you know what?
Where you can buy property, like you said, open up things, for kids to influence change in your own community. But things are just going to be the way that they are. You know like I said, we can vote.
I refuse to say things are going to be the way they are because things are changing every freaking day.
What's changed this year?
What?
What's changed this year?
What changes me?
Got to change yourself if you want to change the world.
Look in the mirror. No. I mean, seriously, man. I mean, when you take a look as far as the country, it's progression. Now you get progression, you get bumps, and you go back. I mean, this 4 year Trump was back, but then you go ahead. I mean, I did the piano lesson. I did the piano lesson. We did that in Elmwood, and when I was doing the piano lesson, the character Johnny, things are changing. Generation from generation to generation, we are advancing. Our generation is more advanced than our parent generation. Your generation could be more advanced than Steve and my generation. You always got the struggle maintain. You always got to continue. You always got to put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, I just think we're just still getting shot. and what are some things?
You're right, bro.
Yeah, like we still getting shot.
Like that's in my youth, I've never ever. Well, we didn't have cameras then.
Yeah, exactly. So when we were talking on the phone before, one thing that definitely stood out to me was how, we were talking about, certain things that, could be done, right now, for people. So like, let's say how we came up with the app and we're like, when somebody gets pulled over by a police officer, we could have something like an app where it'll let you know where you're at. And we can have our own first responders. Right. because I think, you just said, not too long ago, is power is ownership.
Yes.
The problem is we don't own anything, as Black people. And then the things that are Black owned, like Black businesses, they're few and far between. They're not on like a large scale. Yeah. And the fact that, a lot of celebrities, like let's say like a LeBron James is like, I want to focus on things that I can do for Black people right now. You got hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. You could easily facilitate something like an app. You could easily facilitate something like first responders for people in a Kenosha. The bad guys were the only ones who had guns. You got your own security. Why don't you hire security for people that are protesting? I said this months ago. How come, the people who have the influence that got the resources, they're not thinking of that?
I think, you ever, like when you was a kid, and I always used to say, boy, if I was a millionaire, these are the things that I would do.
Right.
And they say we have ideas but you can promote your ideas because maybe they're not thinking on the same wavelength you're thinking of. You think where I'm coming from? So we could say, how come they're not doing this like I'm doing? Because maybe at that time they're really not even thinking about this.
Probably not.
And the other part is we don't know what resources they're putting their money into. Because I believe, no matter of fact, I know there are a lot of cats out there who just do things without the publicity because they don't want that recognition. But you don't see it though.
Right,
and like I said, my thing is I got one of my solutions when people say, what we should do, I'll tell you what you can do. Put a goddamn recreational center in every community. Because I came up like that. Now you say you want to hear from the old school. In Yonkers, we had the PAL, CYO, Salvation Army.
Yeah.
We had these things you could go to. Of course, YMCA, and you could go to get off the streets. That's what it was always about: getting off the streets, getting off the streets, getting off the streets. And yet, all of these places, PAL still exists, but in a different type of thing. You used to go down there boxing, you used to track, but we had an old guy Hatmo. So even if I get somebody, I want to start a track team. Patmo had a station wagon. You see the station, it was just old and it had different colors on it. He wore a beat up old Farmer John, but he invested in us to run track. The Supersonics was our first track team for the neighborhood. But because that person invested in us, we saw something in him. Like, why is this man doing it? He would take us to Randos Island down in New York City, where it was like, yo, how's 16 of us fitting into this beat up old truck? But he exposed us to these different things. And that's all I'm saying. But nowadays, these kids have everything, but it's only technology. I'm sorry. It's only technology.
Yeah.
It's not.
We're missing the fundamentals that kind of make, you know, like your upbringing back in the day.
Yeah, who cares?
It was, yeah. Yeah, because it's not. Yeah, like,
it's cold. Remember, you told me about that one. What? People are cold now, bro.
You mean?
your generation.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's really not the same. And we kind of have technology, you know, to blame for that. Honestly,
right.
You know, but that's a whole nother topic. But I just think that, you know, with people who do have, you know, the resources and stuff like that, because I'm the one, you know, and I mean by that is I'm just, you know, one guy, you know, not a lot of resources, you know, unfortunately. The most thing that I can do is just, you know, have conversations like this and post it up and then maybe spark the mind of somebody that,
my man,
you know what I mean? Like at least so spread a mindset. So in a way I am doing what I can, you know, because if I was somebody that, you know, I'm famous, I got the resources, I got the money, these are the things that I'm going to be talking about. Right. It's not about, you know, an NBA boycott that lasts
of course
freaking 16 hours.
Right.
This is not a real boycott. You know, when they boycotted the buses back in the day, they were really boycotting.
It went some time, bro.
Right.
It went for a while.
Right. But the thing is, you know, LeBron James and them, they're on the payroll of the people that are perpetuating a lot of the pain that's being caused to black people because they're all in cahoots. These are the things that I'm saying.
But information comes so fast nowadays.
Right.
And you know, Colin, 1 minute, just not too long ago, George Floyd died. George, you know,
a couple months ago.
Yeah, not that long ago. And look at in between till to this day.
Mind you, these are just the people that were on the news because this happens every day.
Yeah,
not everybody has the luxury of making national, you know, news when they get shot.
With all of, yeah, and so I'm telling you, the brothers in the NBA, okay, I think they're tired too of what I'm saying is I'm not, you know, protest, but they're like, you know, I'm a pro athlete, but what am I doing? And I like what you're saying. Where are we going with this? Other than just talking about it. Because if me and you had the millions, if you got 20 million, I got 20 million, trust me, that recreational center is built.
The app is made.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
There's no questions about it. So it's like.
Because people talk about supporting black businesses, and I feel like it's just something that's like cool to say, not that it's actually, you know, something that's being done. Because I hear about black banks all the time. Where are they? Out here.
Yeah, black banks, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you're right. You said this in the beginning where when people get some money, they leave. Yeah. And they forget about everybody. They close the door behind them. You know, that's
so something happens and they want to support. And, you know, so you can maybe put your money into something.
Yeah, the greater good of black people and people who are getting shot is not a priority on all sides. I can't even say it's just the government like us. You know what I mean? It's not, because like I said, when the people who have money, they're not thinking like, all right, what are some ways that I can really help my community? They'll help themselves. You know what I mean? Because when you're the one, you focus on your own world. And then it's like no one really wants to undertake the responsibility of bettering the community, bettering the life of somebody other than themselves. Someone who's not.
But it does. But like I said, it happens in pockets. It happens in different. Okay, I can only give you examples. And one part is my family. How things are done in such a way where people don't know. And so people put out, say, art. And so you put your art out there, and my cousin, she makes statues of say, Ella Fitzgerald down in Yonkers. Mm-hmm. So all I'm saying is as a role model, as an example, okay? So she puts that out there. And so people look at that as a monument of excellence or whatever. The young kids that I maybe even coached, back in the projects, and now some of them are grown men, and they say they just remember that I took the time to do something like that. You know, it's these little things that just happen without us realizing something in the Black community. It does exist,
Right.
but it's just because we don't see it, and it's not on a major scale,
and it's not in style.
Right.
To publicize these
Yeah, publicize, right. And it seems like everything has to be broadcast for people to really get it. But
right.
if you're in your neighborhood and you hit it right on the head, because Black-owned businesses, and where are they though? Are they T-shirts? Are they,
right?
You know, what are the Black-owned businesses? And really purely Black-owned. My boy Chris Nelson, God rest his dead, he opened a store in Nyack. He had a boutique. And I was like, yo, okay.
Mm-hmm.
High top shelf jeans. I was like, so is this contributing to the Black community? No, he's Black owned, but don't mean you always contribute to the Black community. You just want people to build you, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many communities now are diverse. You feel where I'm coming from?
Right.
So many communities are diverse. So what do you do with that? You know, he, and like I said, he made great money. He was right there by Elmer Playhouse, where that little Chinese restaurant, his boutique was right next door to that.
Mm-hmm.
So he did it for himself, and he built a family, and then he spread his wealth to other people. But unfortunately, he died too soon. You know.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Well,
that.
I think that's where it starts.
Yeah.
You know, with yourself. And, you know, your own community. But I think at this day and age, because remember, I told you over the phone before, it's like until I'm either rich or famous or you see me with superpowers flying around, no one's really going to want to listen to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That and that's where it comes from. Like, there's no Black pride, because I've always said this, where I can't, if I'm out in Harlem somewhere, I'm out in Brooklyn somewhere, and it's, you know, 12 o'clock at night, I'm not walking up to the pack of Black dudes like, yo, asking for directions. And unfortunately, it's like that. You know, where we got to worry about our own. Like, look at how we treat each other sometimes.
Oh yeah, say that now.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just not, and that's why. And you don't have, you know, the people that we look to, because unfortunately, our leaders are entertainers, they're actors, they're, you know,
entertainers, right?
Yeah, they're
everything's all entertainment, all entertainment.
And Ronnie DeVoe from freaking New Edition, he posted up. Was it him or no? It was somebody else. But basically, it was Malcolm X saying that the entertainer is not a leader.
A leader, no.
They're not leaders, because guess what? They're employed by the people that you don't like.
Right.
The people that you don't like that are creating these problems are cutting their checks. So they don't have your best interest, which is exactly why the boycott only lasted for X amount of hours until they said, oh, the playoffs are starting today. Saturday.
But they say once you start making a lot of money, if you making say like Denzel money and stuff like that, a lot of people are coming at you, and you can't heal the world.
You can't.
You just can't. Right.
But I think you can at least, you know, you have to, you know, remain connected and like, or grounded enough to be able to remember. You know what I'm saying? Because I think you're wasting time if your only goal is you become a successful actor, and then your life and career is only about yourself, and you don't make it about other people.
And you have to be woken up to the real world, because if none of this happened, you know, they're out there in the fancy boats and doing whatever.
Or you risk losing everything, because sometimes the people that are cutting your checks probably don't want you to talk about these sort of things.
Right, exactly.
Because, you know, us being in this position that we are, it perpetuates the system.
Yeah, a lot of I think there's a lot of people out here today too who the hidden heroes. So sometimes you got it. I always stand on the shoulders. I pay homage, especially you know, I say my mother, the people she came up with, where they were outspoken in the community. What I'm saying is, she was a housing commissioner. Where there were people that lived in the project, you had that voice. See what I'm saying? There are leaders, but they're the unsung heroes that are in behind closed doors in these staff meetings, trying to make things better for their community. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't see that, and that's what I'm saying. So I always point to me. What have I done in my life to maybe just influence other folks? And I can go back to the days of working at Children's Village. The gentlemen that I worked with, how we change the game with uplifting. We weren't restraining kids. They're gonna fight, but we weren't harassing them. We was trying to teach them love. And a lot of people that don't have love in their heart, and I ain't talking about Jesus, I'm talking about just love in your heart for your fellow human being. Then you can cure so many little things just by understanding that little piece. And long story short, though, because these are conversations that people I don't think are having to get to the nitty gritty of things. That's all I'm saying. People talk around it. They can talk. Like I said, I've sat in these meetings where they say, you know what we should do, instead of doing it because you have the power to do it.
Right.
It's always, you know what we should do? You know what the black people ain't doing? Tell me what you're doing. My mother always said, she said, you can't have a meeting by yourself. And the other part is when you get out there in the community, tell somebody and show people that you care. Because when you don't, you can spend your money, but if you don't show them you care and you ain't a communicator, see, I consider us communicators because we talk to people. And you're trying to get some rationale and trying to make some sense out of this bullshit.
Yeah.
But money, and Kev said, money speaks volumes. Keith said it too. Money speaks volumes. But then when you got it, oh, man, they say, come on, bro, you can't give brother $10. You know what I'm saying? Can the brother get a little something? Yeah.
So, and then
I don't want no damn handouts.
One last thing I wanted to get your opinion on was the fact that, I can speak for a lot of young people where we don't, when I come home at, 5, 6 o'clock, I'm not cutting on the news. I'm not cutting on Fox. I'm not doing that.
No, don't do it.
We get our news from the internet now.
Internet,
right?
yes.
Facebook,
yes.
Instagram, a lot of that. And I feel like what made your generation so effective when it comes to being involved in, what's going on and being aware of what's going on is that you guys prioritize watching the news.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that has lost its touch where a lot of things could be going on right now that, ages, 18 through, late 20s don't even know about because we don't watch the news.
Right.
So do you think that it's fine that we get our news from a separate source than you did coming up? Or do you think that we should prioritize, cutting on, channel, Fox?
No. I love the way y'all rolled out because, like I said, when I came out the room and I heard about Jack, I was on Facebook.
Yeah.
When I went upstairs to my son, he said, "Oh yeah, I know already." All the kids knew before Channel 5 because who said it best? It's programmed. It's a program. It's a set program for a certain time to give you certain details unless they get breaking news.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all they got. Internet is like this. You're getting, like I said, information superhighway is hitting you. So we're getting some about Jack, some about Mr. Boseman, everything. And so that to me, what you do, you're trying to broadcast something that can keep everybody informed, and it ain't racial. It's open. It ain't biased. It's about respect, love. Right. Everybody gets a chance to talk, and people need that. We're blessed because we can go on stage, we can write something, and we can present it. But what audience are we hitting? Maybe a certain. And if we can broadcast it out there in the movie, cool.
Right.
But if you can't, don't give up. See, a lot of folks, man, they got other agendas and shit in their minds is racing on, and of course we all do it. But it's like, wait a minute, hold on, I got this text, wait a minute, There is no discipline as far as people, to me, I always speak for me, I had to discipline myself to say, you know what, yeah, you're right, let me turn this shit off for a minute. You just, maybe watch a movie. Yeah, unwind, man, got to unplug. I told my son D, I said, D, did you clean up your room? He gave me that look. Huh? And I go, click.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Right.
And but yeah, you're right though. The news that you get from the internet is powerful.
Oh, okay.
But it can be deceiving too. I'm sorry.
I think that as with any, because it went through X amount of people before it even got to you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's true. But I always thought that y'all generation frowned upon us for not watching the news.
Aloe vera water. Sorry.
But so you would say that it's not really a necessity to really, have to watch the news, because I always thought that, like, maybe I may or may not be missing out on something.
First, it used to be the newspaper. Oh boy, you don't read the newspaper? I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because once I listen to a certain amount of people say it, then you know it's true. But the research is now everything is fact checked and all that. I know not to fact check anything about this brother dying. I knew right off. My son always says the news, that way he gets it from, he knows it's a reliable source.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 3 screens in front of him, so he's like, ooh, just multitasking.
Yeah.
But I envy you guys. The only thing I hate is I can't even say we. There are some of us in this world that's just really fucked up and making it bad for others. And I work in an environment where it's a good thing, because I'm helping people, and we all sit down and try to talk about ideas to make things better. Even my company is trying to make attempts to make things better. So without trying to change the subject too far, shout out to all the essential workers out there.
Right.
We out here.
Hey man, I definitely, appreciate you coming on here.
I appreciate you, brother.
I definitely say I'm all about giving people, their flowers, when they're around here, to smell them. I say, when you were talking about, mentoring people when you were coming up, I feel like you mentored me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
still here. We mentor each other. Each one teach one, bro.
Each one teach one, remain teachable. See, I be telling other young dudes, he's telling me, remain teachable. I feel like I got to tell older people to remain teachable, because they don't know. They feel like they move through life feeling like they know everything.
Say it.
So definitely
open-minded.
Yeah. So definitely all them times, going to and from rehearsal, all them talks definitely, became, part of the way that I think. Yeah. Because you're somebody, like I said, that I admire. So that's why I had to have you, Kevin, come on here, because not even that there was any guarantee that you guys were going to agree with me, but because I remain teachable.
Right. So knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Right. So I went into that with the remain teachable mindset. Like, you know what? Let me just expose myself to, a different, mindset, because you guys came up from a different area that I.
Right on.
You guys are watching us.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I figured, it'd be, mutually beneficial for us to kind of have, that, discussing the topic and everything like that. So I don't know if there's any last words.
I appreciate what you do. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But here's the big part. Love and happiness. Live, love, laugh. All the good things. Because trust me, there's more bad to come. But the only way we gonna get through it is just stay cool, man. Just stay cool, because people are losing it today, and I can't just tell you to go out there and just vote.
We living in crazy times now.
Make yourself do something to make yourself happy. That's all. Do something to make yourself happy.
Yeah. All right. Peace. So with that said, I appreciate anybody who watches this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. There also will be timestamps in the comments as well. So if you feel free to go back, skip around, whatever you want to do. And shout
out to Mr. DJ.
And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Suave. Peace.
Good luck. Continuing to do this.
Nah, D's the man. Yo.